What would you do if your own sister humiliated you in front of everyone you love, just to make herself look better? Let me take you to Christmas dinner. Not just any dinner, my family's annual champagne-drenched, 5-course, look how successful we are, holiday performance. There's a guest list, assigned seating, and if you're lucky, you get to leave emotionally intact. I'm Ellie, 24. The one everyone forgets to include in group photos. My sister? Samantha, 27. The family's golden girl. Ivy League grad, PR exec, the walking LinkedIn post. And this year, she brought someone new to dinner, her ultra-private, ultra-powerful CEO boyfriend. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. His name? Damian Cross, 32. Founder of a tech company that just hit a $1 billion valuation. Charming. Quiet. Sharp suit. The kind of guy who sees everything without saying much. Samantha was glowing. She always glows when she's in control. But this year, she wanted more than attention. She wanted domination. So she stood up, tapped her champagne glass, and said something I still hear in my nightmares. Everyone, this is my sibling, the family disaster. The room exploded in laughter. Forks down. Eyes on me. A few people clapped. And Damian? He didn't laugh. He stared at her, dead silent. Then said, "We need to talk." Outside. What happened after that flipped everything. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like you didn't belong there, even though it was supposed to be your own family? That was me, walking into my parents' lavish dining room that Christmas. The kind of room where the chandelier costs more than my annual rent, and every inch is a performance. My mom greeted me like I was a neighbor's kid who wandered in by mistake. Dad gave me the polite nod reserved for Uber drivers. Classic. But Samantha? She made an entrance. Late, of course. Wrapped in a designer coat, high heels clicking like a countdown. On her arm was Damian Cross, the man they'd all been speculating about for months. The tech genius. The mystery mogul. Now standing there like he'd stepped out of a magazine. Tall. Composed. The kind of silence that made you nervous. The room lit up. Champagne was poured faster. Suddenly everyone forgot I was even in the house. Samantha air-kissed relatives and laughed like she owned the air. When she passed me, she leaned in and said, "Still playing starving artist, huh?" I smiled. Bit my tongue. Same old dance. Dinner started. I was at the far end of the table, next to the kitchen door and a decorative fern. She was front and center, performing. Every joke, every anecdote, about work, about her new condo, about tough decisions was curated. Her voice was syrupy. Her eyes kept flicking to Damian like he was a mirror. Then she tapped her glass. And stood up. You ever had someone smile at you while stabbing you right through the heart? That's exactly how it felt when Samantha raised her glass. "Can I have everyone's attention for a moment?" she said, tone sweet enough to rot teeth. "I just want to take a second to say how grateful I am. For family. For success. And for growth." Polite smiles. A few nods. Typical fluff. Then her eyes locked on mine. "And of course," she said, "we can't forget my little sister Ellie. Still following her dreams. Still trying. Still, such a unique spirit." I felt it coming. Like a wave I couldn't outrun. "She's the family's resident disaster," she said with a laugh, raising her glass higher. "But we love her anyway, don't we?" Laughter. Not nervous giggles, actual laughter. Even my uncle, who never says a word, let out a snort. I stared down at my plate. Couldn't even look up. My hands were cold. My face was burning. My wine glass trembled in my grip like I was holding a live wire. Have you ever been so embarrassed you forgot where you were? I wanted the floor to swallow me. To disappear behind that damn fern. Then, through the ringing in my ears, I heard something odd. Silence. Not from me, from Damian. He wasn't laughing. He was watching her. Jaw tight. No smile. Eyes sharp like he'd just seen something ugly. And then, calmly, clearly, he put down his fork and said, "We need to talk." Outside. You ever seen someone go from queen of the room to totally clueless in under 5 seconds? That was Samantha. The second Damien said it, "We need to talk." Outside. Her smile froze. You could see her trying to process whether he was joking. But Damien didn't move like someone making a joke. He stood up slow, straightened his jacket, and walked toward the French doors leading to the patio. Samantha followed. Her heels clicked fast this time. She looked back once, gave this tight little smile like, "Don't worry, he probably just needs air." The second the doors closed, the table exploded. "Is everything okay?" my aunt whispered. "What was that about?" "Maybe he's proposing," someone laughed. I stayed silent. Fork untouched. I wasn't sure if I should feel guilty or something else. It was strange. Damien hadn't defended me, not exactly. But his eyes, that stare, it had weight. Like he saw something Samantha didn't mean to show. Minutes passed. I couldn't eat. Couldn't think. I needed to know. So I slipped out of my seat and walked slowly toward the hallway, past the wine cart, past the family portraits. I stood near the closed patio doors. Their voices were faint, but I heard enough. "I brought you here to meet my family, not to humiliate yours," Damien said, sharp but steady. "She's not family," Samantha snapped. "She's a joke." Then, clear as a bell, Damien replied, "If you talk about people like that in public, it tells me everything I need to know." And then he said the words that made my heart stop. "You're fired." How do you come back to the table after getting fired by your boyfriend in front of your childhood home? Apparently, you fake it. Damien walked back in first. Calm. Composed. Sat down, picked up his glass, and took a slow sip of water like nothing had happened. Total silence swept the room. Every fork, every knife, frozen midair. A minute later, Samantha walked back in. Her face was flushed. Lipstick smudged slightly at the corner. Her smile was stitched together like it was holding back a scream. "Just a little miscommunication," she said, laughing too hard. "You know how these tech geniuses are so intense." Everyone chuckled nervously. But Damien didn't even glance at her. Instead, he turned to the table and said, "Just so everyone is aware, Samantha is no longer employed by my company." The air went cold. Her wine glass clinked against her plate as her hand jerked. "You're kidding, right?" someone asked. He looked up, finally. "No. Not even a little." Gasps. My mother put a hand over her mouth. Dad blinked like he'd misheard. Someone dropped a fork, but no one moved to pick it up. Samantha sat down slowly, rigid, trying to collect herself. But her hands were shaking. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. For once, someone had spoken up for me. And it hit harder than anything I could have ever said myself. But then, Damien turned his head toward me. His eyes softened. And he said something I never expected to hear from a billionaire tech mogul. "You should keep doing your art," Damien said, just loud enough for the table to hear. "You've got more integrity than half the people I've worked with." It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. But it landed like a thunderclap. I felt every pair of eyes swivel toward me. Some stunned, some awkward, and one set, right across the table, burning with rage. Samantha didn't say a word. She just stared at her plate like it might save her. The rest of dinner? A blur of forced small talk, clinking silverware, and tension thick enough to chew. Samantha left early. Said she wasn't feeling well. And me? I stayed. I talked with Damien. Just a few minutes. Nothing deep. But real. He asked about my art. I told him about a mural I'd been working on in the city. He said he'd like to see it sometime. But it wasn't about him. It was about me finally being seen. You ever have someone look at you and see through all the noise? All the labels? All the crap your own family throws at you? Turns out, the family disaster wasn't a disaster at all. She was just inconvenient to people who needed a scapegoat. And sometimes, karma doesn't make a scene. It just shows up wearing a tailored suit, fires the villain, and then compliments your art. So yeah. If you've ever been the black sheep, you're not alone. Hit that like button. Drop your story in the comments. And remember, sometimes, the best revenge is just being right.